Do you support increased housing density in the greater Springbank area?
Define greater for me.
It's okay. Let's say greater than 1 acre lots.
Oh,
on average. On average.
Yeah, I think the average number might be an overly simplistic way to look at this, because closer to the city, right around the ring road, the densities are going to be higher. But out in the country, now, whether that's Greater Springbank or not, I don't think much has to change. And the region doesn't think much has to change. So what's in the regional growth plan is actually, they like 4 acres. They want to keep country residential, agriculture, high value agriculture, equestrian. They want to keep that sort of the option for, I would say, the majority of Springbank. But closer into the city, it changes, and the region's actually expecting higher density. So we've got a real challenge ahead, I think. And this will involve lots of stakeholder engagement with the community. But on one hand, you have a region that's doing its best to intensify, and Calgary's building up. They kind of want Rocky View to do the same thing. And perhaps our opportunity is to slightly densify off traditional stuff right in that boundary with Calgary. And that's where some of the special development areas were in the ASPs that failed. So that needs to be looked at, but we need some buy-in. And I like to use words transition zones. And you can't go from, well, I mean, you can, but from Highway 101 to commercial to 2 acre lots backing on to commercial condos. In my mind, there's something wrong there. And I'm far from a planning expert, but I think we need some thoughtful planners. Don't leave this 100% to the development community, but we got to figure out how to transition from the ring road through that thin veneer of Calgary, because they still own a little bit of land on the other side of the ring road, and into Rocky View. And there's nothing stopping Calgary, like we knew, from putting an auto mall on the other side of 101 Street. So maybe with some negotiation with Calgary, you can jointly come and say, what does this strip of land look like before you head down the escarpment and into the main Springbank areas. So it's an interesting question, but in general, maybe a bit of a segue, but I quite like cluster development. I make no bones about that. I live in one. I like the green space. We have miles and miles or kilometers and kilometers of hiking trails and Douglas fir trees, and it's awesome. I also like bigger agricultural parcels, 4 acres and above, but I'm a little thoughtful about the 2 acre just because of the septic situation in Springbank. And I know eventually we're going to saturate if we haven't already. And I think our current practice, so it's not the density, but it's the way we develop that 2 acres, maybe would have to change and get off the septics. If we can get onto city servicing, it becomes very expensive if it isn't dense, but perhaps that's the option. And we understand that they will be expensive lots, and that's what they're there for. And it's for high-end, nice housing on expensive lots with expensive servicing, and the people that want to be there are quite happy to pay that price.
Question that I'm sure is a little bit polarizing. Some people would love to see it. Some people don't even want to see some future developments. I think as you build out communities, it's important to look at other examples of what works. I know, in Bragg Creek, there's not a lot of low density housing. So it's somewhat unaffordable for folks. And that makes it difficult to run an effective community. I think that councillor, again, is going to want to draw on experts, show me what's being proposed, show me what's worked in other areas. What do the residents think? Why are those objections? If there are objections, why do they exist? Let's work together and get informed, generally speaking, I would imagine a mix of higher density housing could be good for the community. I do need to look at it and in greater detail and hear perspectives. So generally, I think that probably sounds like the right way to go, but I do know that that there'll be other folks that don't see it that way. So